In 1953, the CIA overthrew a democratically elected leader for $1 million, and that single decision created the regime America has been fighting ever since. This is the operation the US hid for 60 years. Oil transformed Iran's fate almost overnight. In 1901, Mozaffar ad-Din Shah signed away the country's future for cash and a promise, a 60-year concession giving British investor William Darcy the rights to nearly all of Persia's oil. The deal handed Iran a lump sum of £20,000, a matching amount in shares, and a meager 16% of the company's net profits. 7 years later, the ground at Masjid Suleiman exploded with oil. The British moved fast. By 1909, they had incorporated the Anglo-Persian Oil Company in London, locking in control from thousands of miles away. In 1914, as war loomed, the British government bought a controlling 51% stake and claimed the right to veto any decision that threatened their interests. For decades, tankers shipped Persian oil to British factories and warships, while Iran's share barely registered. Iranian officials called the 16% royalty an insult, a fortune drained from their soil with almost nothing returned. Resentment simmered, fueling a generation's anger at foreign control and economic humiliation. Mohammad Mosaddegh stepped into the spotlight with a reputation for honesty and a fierce devotion to Iranian sovereignty. Trained as a lawyer and shaped by years in parliament, he became the face of a movement demanding control over Iran's own resources. On April 7, 1951, Parliament elected Mosaddegh as prime minister. That same week, he pushed through the Oil Nationalization Act. The law stripped the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company of its monopoly and declared that Iran, not London, would decide the fate of its oil. Crowds flooded the streets in support, hailing Mosaddegh as a national hero. But the reaction from abroad was immediate and harsh. The British government slammed Iran with an oil embargo, freezing assets and blockading exports. Tankers sat idle, revenues vanished. Despite the economic pain, Mossadegh's popularity soared. Time magazine named him Man of the Year for 1951, calling him a symbol of a nation fighting to reclaim its dignity. The standoff with Britain was no longer just about oil, it was now a battle over who would shape Iran's future. The arrival of Dwight D. Eisenhower in the White House in January 1953 changed the equation in Washington. Eisenhower's Secretary of State, John Foster Dulles, and his brother Alan, now running the CIA, saw Iran not just as a battleground over oil, but as a potential domino in the Cold War. Inside the National Security Council, the debate shifted from economics to existential threat. British officials warned that Mossadegh's struggle with the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company could open the door to Soviet influence. The Dulles brothers agreed, arguing that if Iran slipped, the Persian Gulf might follow. In classified briefings, Iran was painted as vulnerable to communist takeover, its government too weak to resist Moscow's pressure. The British pressed for action, but it was the Americans who now held the keys. The new administration's doctrine of containment to stop communism anywhere it might take root turned regime change in Iran from an option into a matter of strategy. By spring, the White House approved secret plans to remove Mossaddegh. The old oil dispute had become a high-stakes struggle over the future of the Middle East. Operation TPAJAX began with a single secret budget line, $1 million United States dollars, authorized by the National Security Council and funneled into a special CIA account labeled Special Projects. Kermit Roosevelt Jr., the agency's man in Tehran, controlled every dollar. The plan depended on cash and connections. Roosevelt turned to the Rashidian brothers, trusted Tehran merchants with deep roots in the city's bazaars. Through their import-export business, stacks of American bills moved quietly to military officers, street organizers, and religious leaders. Clerics received envelopes to denounce Mossaddegh as a threat to Islam, while union leaders and merchants were paid to rally crowds and shut down shops. MI6 supplied its own funds and operatives, working in tandem with the CIA from a joint command post in the heart of the city. The money paid for more than loyalty. It bought rumors, headlines, and the illusion of a spontaneous uprising. Propaganda leaflets, radio scripts, and stage demonstrations flooded Tehran. With every bribe and broadcast, the infrastructure for regime change was set, all under the codename TPAJAX. The machinery of the coup was in motion, but the first attempt would not go as planned. The first strike collapsed almost as soon as it began. On August 15, 1953, army units loyal to the Shah tried to arrest Mosaddegh, but the plan leaked. Mossadegh's supporters moved quickly, detaining the plotters and sending the Shah fleeing Tehran for Rome the next day. In Washington, panic set in. The CIA cabled Kermit Roosevelt in Tehran, instructing him to stand down. Roosevelt ignored the abort order. He doubled down, pouring more cash into the streets, paying strongmen, clerics, and police to whip up chaos. Over 4 tense days, Tehran became a battleground of rumors, bribes, and shifting loyalties. On August 19th, the city erupted. Mobs, some paid and some swept up in the moment, stormed government buildings. The radio station fell first, broadcasting the Shah's return and Mossadegh's supposed defeat. Tanks and soldiers, many bought with CIA money, joined the crowds. By nightfall, Mossadegh's house was in flames. He surrendered, was arrested, and later sentenced to 3 years in prison, then kept under house arrest until 1967. General Fazlollah Zahedi, the CIA's chosen strongman, appeared on the radio as the new prime minister. Iran's brief experiment with democracy had ended. The Shah returned, his throne now secured by foreign hands and secret deals. One secret operation redrew a nation's fate, and its shadow still shapes every standoff today. When power rewrites history, the aftershocks last generations. What we do in secret never stays buried.